Doug Millar?
Well, I'm alive and kicking still, so contrary to popular belief, I'm not dead yet.
Well, like they always say, if you wake up in the morning, it's a good day, isn't it? So,
You got that one, my friend. Just talking to another Doug who went through a similar life-shattering thing, and we were just saying, it does give you a rude wake-up call. But
yeah, no,
anyway,
okay.
today's a good
I
day.
can well imagine. Well, now we've got you on again, obviously, because you've got some amazing stuff coming up. I know we've been talking with the group that we've formed and everything else, but I've really got you on to talk about your new program. One, obviously, you got the virtual roadshow, which everyone can see behind, and we'll touch on that a bit later on. But let's talk about your 12 days of Christmas or 12 days of fitness. Um, your international campaign that you're putting out there for free for people. So I think this is a really valuable tool for everybody, and it's something that obviously you devise. So probably the best place to start, Doug, is probably most of the people who've been around the industry a while know about the 12 days of fitness, 12 days of Christmas, whatever they've called it over the years. But it's your program. Salesmakers created this, and well, you could tell us the history of this.
Well, let me start at the beginning, which is always a good place to start. In 1986, before most of your listeners were born, I was driving from New Jersey, where I was residing at the time, to a client in Richmond, Virginia. And it was about a 3.5 hour drive. And just as I was pulling out of New Jersey, going into Delaware, the local radio station played the 12 Days of Christmas song. On the first day of Christmas, my
Yeah,
true
yeah,
love
yeah.
gave it to me. We've all heard it a million times. And once you hear that stupid song, it's one that you cannot get out of your head. So for 3.5 hours, I'm driving down the interstate, humming to myself. But as I'm doing it, I kind of realized, you know what? Fitness kind of sounds like Christmas and
Yeah.
12 days. What if we actually did something where, as a gift that the members would receive from the club, would be a couple of passes that were good for 12, days
Yeah.
that they could then extend to their friends and relatives and loved ones. And I thought, well, if you just give it away, there's no value. So, well, I know, well, let's charge money for it. So, what do we charge? And in those days in the States, and I think this club's membership fee was somewhere around $10 a month, or $10 a visit. So it's like, well, 1986. Let's go with the year.
Makes sense.
And we'll sell it for 1986. So it's worth 20 bucks. There's some value to it. So now if they give it to a friend or whatever, they're not really a cheapskate because the friend doesn't know they got it for free. They think they bought it. And then I got into the whole mindset of, okay, well, gift giving. And also at Christmas, you see a lot of the Santas outside the stores ringing their bells with their bucket, raising money for charity, for this, that, or the other. So I said, well, how about a charity donation? And the United States Marine Corps, back after World War II, created a program called Toys for Tots.
Right.
And this program was designed specifically for the military that had lost their lives in World War II. So the Marines that survived, collected toys. And in those days, you could give them anything and they would fix it up even,
Oh
if it
wow.
was broken. And they, did it. Well, after World War II, the Americans didn't have that much money.
Yeah.
We didn't have the rationing, although we had it, but not to the extreme that the Brits, that you guys did. But it was still, it was a tough thing. And so anyway, I thought, well, that's a good one. Children, that's kind of, a good thing, and it's all in the Christmas spirit, Scrooge, and all the little, you
Yeah.
know, puddings and such not. So I was like, okay. So I get down there, and this is like the 1st or 2nd of December. It was right at the beginning of the month. And, last ditch. And the club that I was working with was a very short, was a hospital-based club, was a wellness center. And it had, we had a goal of selling 600 memberships, and a board member had contacted us because her house was on the line. She needed to get that by the annual board meeting on the 20th of January, and she hired us the 1st of October. So we'd been
Okay.
there for 2 months. I think we'd sold, not even 200 memberships or so. Um, and, I was like, not desperate, but desperate. So I, convinced the GM and everybody, and we had some radio time, and it was a sporting goods store that we were close with. So we basically cut a deal where the radio was promoting the thing and selling it for 1986, or they could bring in a toy and get a pass in lieu. So we became a donor for the Toys for Tots program, and the Marines would come around on the 19th of the month, collect the stuff that gave them time to fix things before Christmas. Then they would deliver it to their kids, without fathers, and everybody was happy. So anyway, so I put everything to bed in 3 days. We get the printing done, the letter written to go out to the members. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Okay, I take off, drive back home, or drive to wherever I was going. Probably, I think I was working in Boston, and I was driving up and down the East Coast. And the holidays come, and now I'm going to be driving down, and this was maybe about the 6th or 7th of January. And so on the 5th, I called the club to tell my sales girl when I was arriving and to arrange meetings and so on and so forth. And I'm on hold forever. And I'm like, bloody hell, this is, glad I'm not a prospect. So finally she answers the phone, says, "Hey, Sue, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year." I said, I was on hold for a really long time. What's going on? She goes, "This place is a zoo." I said, "Really?" She goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, I couldn't take the calls. I'm sorry." I said, "Okay." I said, "So how are we doing?" She goes, "Well, I think we just cracked 300." So I
Bloody
was
hell.
like, "Oh well, we gave it our best shot." She goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, the goal was 540 or something like that." I said, when I left, we were just over 200. Now you're saying we were 301. We're 301 this month. I
Bloody
said,
hell.
"What?"
Wow.
And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "The entire December, I haven't slept once. It's been nonstop." And we ended up achieving not only the goal, far exceeding it, getting a substantial bonus. We brought the entire sales team down to Florida for an annual retreat we did as a thank you for their stellar job. But there used to be a magazine, I don't know if you ever got it over here. It was called Peak Performance.
Yes, I
And
remember that actually.
that's the early days in the 90s. He was still around. Jim Smith became a good friend, and it was a marketing newsletter. And he would have different tips and suggestions. And it was a monthly thing. And I had, I told him about it. So he did a write up on it. And I was doing a lot of lecturing then with Club Industry and URSA and different events, regional things. And one of my key sessions was promotions, which is what I'm kind of known for in the world. And so one year I was at URSA, and I'd taken a video recorder to record my partner who was presenting and myself. And I went into Jimmy's session because I always learned something from the guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Or he reminded me of something, and it would be able to spark some level of creativity. So anyway, I go in and I got there early and I say, "Hey, Jim, look, I got my recorder. Do you want me to record you for this?" He goes, "Yeah, that'd be cool." He goes, "Okay." So I did. And So he gets to this section in his presentation when he's talking about different campaigns and promotions. So he goes, and it was probably an audience of around 300 people. And he goes, you know, how many of you in this room have heard of the 12 days of, fitness? And about two-thirds of the room raised their hand. And he goes, how many of you think it's the best campaign you've ever done? Same hands are up there. So he started laughing. He turned around and pointed at me. He goes, you can thank this guy because he's the one that came up with it.
I mean,
So
that's quite nice.
at the end of the session, I had people coming up, kissing my ring, hugging. Oh, you saved my year. Da, 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 da. And it was then that I kind of realized maybe I'm kind of onto something here. And then when I came over here, I remember I was up in Newcastle at Charlie Buchanan's club, where Leslie Aiken originated her career from. I think she was in working reception at that time, but she was like a 19-year-old fresh-faced kid. And so I'm giving this lecture and I'm talking about promotions. And after the session, Charlie's son comes up to me, and goes, "That was really nice. You giving credit for the 12 days of fitness." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, my father invented that." I said, Actually, your father, when he and Ken Heathcote came to Club Industry Chicago and heard my lecture, he didn't invent it. I did." And the kid started arguing with me, and I said, "Charlie, come here. Will you tell him where you got this from?" And he kind of sheepishly said, "Yeah, well, you." So yeah, I guess Charlie came back trying to take credit, as quite a few people have done. And like we were discussing earlier, if I had one penny for every person that has got received 12 days of Christmas fitness, whatever you bloody want to call it, I would be a really wealthy man.
I
Um,
think the amazing thing is, Doug, it's taken a period which traditionally is really quiet. Do you know what I mean? Usage drops quite significantly, sales drop quite significantly, and it's actually turned it into a positive month.
it
Um,
can. And you're right, because in the beginning, when you've got a club that's got, and I'll start giving some tips here, Ryan, for the audience. You know, if you've got a really busy club, even in December, restrict the hours to daytime only.
yeah, yeah.
And then you've got a good upsell when somebody comes in. Well, I can't use it. The other thing I've always done, and I've done this for decades, every client I've worked with for the last 40 plus years, I offer a 10-day unconditional money back guarantee. And I even put it in a certificate form to make a big deal out of it because it removes the money objection. I'm
I,
always
I
one.
I talk to my clients about money back guarantees because in the end of the day, you might get one or two that try it on and whatever, but the power psychologically it has is huge.
I fully anticipate, Ryan, 1%. And if you don't get any, then they're not using it as the tool that it's designed for. If the salesperson is too many, they're closing too hard.
Yeah,
So it's a good barrister or barometer, rather, not barrister. That's a different thing over here. It's a good barometer of how effective the process is. We always used to use presentation sheets where we would write down how much it cost, give them a couple of options. They choose the option. But then when we got at the very end of our presentation, price presentation, we would take out this little certificate, and it looked like a little, just an A5, thing. Blah, 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 we give you an unconditional money back guarantee. And I train the salespeople, put that down over the money because what it psychologically does, as well as physically, the money is no longer on the table.
yeah.
So now when you go for your clothes, well, we accept, annual or monthly memberships. You save some money if you go with the annual, but would you rather go with the 30 a month or the 300 a year? Well, 300 a month, and then they come back with, well, I want to think about it. Well, that's exactly why we offer you this money back guarantee. I want you to think about it for the next 10 days. I want you to think about it after you've enjoyed a swim, after you've enjoyed a class, had a workout, met with one of the trainers. And if you think at the end of that time that we're not right for you, I'll give you back every penny that you give me today. So when should I book your initial assessment? Go back for the close.
And do you
Uh,
know what it also does, and what I like about it, Doug? It enforces the power of the service delivery as well. Because if you're offering a money back guarantee, you can't then not deliver a service. You know what I mean? If you're going to offer shit service, you're going to be handing money back left, right, and centre, and
it,
so it
it,
enforces that service delivery as well.
it's a form of pride. It's a form of confidence. But most importantly, for the end result, is it gives that customer confidence in their purchasing decision.
I tell you what
Is
used to
what
make us laugh, Doug. When I opened Holmes Place in Nottingham in 2000, I was part of the team there. We were selling 250 quid joining fees. David Lloyd
oh
up
yeah,
the road. We were taking members left, right, and centre off David Lloyd. Obviously, we were the new thing in town, big 60,000 square foot club.
yeah,
And you used to go, right, it's 250 quid to join, and the clients go, oh, David Lloyd's only 50 quid up the road. And just having that confidence to turn around and say, do you know what? Go and have a look at David Lloyd, and I'll see you back this afternoon. And it was almost that, oh God, you're confident in your own. And we were charging five times what they were to join, and
and you're right. I mean,
and they always came back.
it becomes a point of pride again, and establishing the value. And a simple retort to that was, well, you get what you pay for. And at the end of the day, what you're paying for is results. And if you want results, then we're the club for you. If you want to have a big thing where you're going to be nameless, well, there's your choices. Now you brought back a memory of course, the good old days when we did used to charge a proper enrollment fee. I mean, I used to use enrollment certificates again, things that look like stock certificates, and used to call them my transfer certificate as well, which took away the caveat of 12-month contracts. Well, if you are looking to, get out of the 12-month agreement, you can transfer the remaining portion of your membership, and you can recover a portion of your initial investment in your enrollment fee. So you can sell the certificate for whatever you want. You get to keep that money, and we just get a nominal $15 pound transfer fee, whatever. Um, so I mean, the combination of those, but what I also in those days, again, this club had a $300, I think, joining fee. It was a hospital owned. I mean, you got all kinds of tests for that money.
Yeah, yeah,
But regardless, what I did was I did a countdown. So the daily guest fee was $10. The enrollment fee was 300. So the value of the 12-day pass, obviously 12 times 10, 120. By joining on the first day, I can save you $120 on your enrollment fee, and you get a 12-day unconditional money back guarantee. I up the 10 to 12 just for this one campaign. And you can save some money, and as additional, I'll throw in the rest of December free to avoid the I'll wait until after the holidays
yeah,
objection,
yeah.
which you always get to be, around the 15th of December, you can pretty much hang up making sales, because people are out doing their Christmas shopping last minute, taking time off to go visit family, doing all the other stuff, Christmas tables, parties. But with this thing, it not only keeps going up until Christmas Eve, on Boxing Day, I warn if you do this when you do this campaign, that's not say if you want to sell, if you want to get between 200 to 600 prospects in each and every one of your clubs this year, do this campaign. And do not allow any of your salespeople to take off from the 26th to the 31st of December because you are going to be swamped with prospects because
Yeah.
they do give it as gift because it's 2025. It's
You
got
know what I
some
like
value.
about it as well, and I don't know whether you do this, Doug, but when I do it with the clients, we always run the 12 days. So they buy it up until Christmas, and then they've got until round about the 20th of January to as the last visit. Because what I found is January, although we say it's the biggest month of the year, actually the last 10 days are the biggest period of January, simply because no one's got any money to join. And so if you can allow those people to use it up to that point, you've suddenly now got them with their New Year's resolutions and that excitement. Obviously, you've got the Christmas presents that people have bought, and they're now using you in January, and the conversion rates tend to be so much higher. And it's having that confidence to go, do you know what? We can fill the club in January because we're still going to be relatively quiet for those first 2 to 3 weeks anyway. It doesn't, I mean, this is just my experience, but January doesn't get to the 2nd of January and suddenly explode with new members. No one's got any money, they're skint.
It depends on the campaign you run on the 3rd of January, but let's go.
Well, I guess.
I, I, I've got another campaign called Bonus Dividend. We'll discuss that on another time. The I allow the customers to start their pass on up until the 31st of December. And then they have 12 days. So their passes end on the 11th of
Yeah.
January. And now I'm going to share something with you that I don't think I've actually ever discussed over here in England or the UK. I call this one Share the Savings. On the 12th of January, and I'm prepared with all this because obviously I know what I'm doing, or at least I pretend
I
to
should
know what
hope so.
I'm doing. It took me a few mistakes to figure it out, but I got there in the end. That perseverance, 46 years, you're bound to get something right. Even a blind squirrel finds some acorns now and again. The
Well, I
I
know one.
send out an email or a letter to used to actually be a postcard to the you know, people that joined during the campaign, only the people that joined during the campaign. And I basically will do both a referral campaign and say, look, we've been so busy and so crazy with this 12 days of fitness. We haven't had a chance to let you, have some passes for your friends so they could come in. So we'd like to give you a small bonus. Here's a couple of 12-day passes that your friends can use,
Oh,
but
wow.
these
Okay.
passes end the 31st of January. They do not carry over. The 12 days have got to be used in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm doing is I'm taking all those people, and also the hook is, and your friends can join at the same price that you did. So again, they come in on the 15th, the friend paid X amount, you pay that, and I'll give you the rest of January free. It's just like your friend got the rest of December free. Um, this all this is how you extend your campaign through the end of the when people get paid and they've got a little bit of money left. But because it's and now because we don't have enrollment fees or joining fees, very few clubs have got administrative fees of 50 quid or whatever you bloody want to call it. You can still do a countdown, but it would be something probably along the lines of if you join in the next 12 days or the next 3 days, I'll waive the administrative fee
Yeah,
and
yeah.
give you December free. Some type of special. Now, I only do this, guys, 12-month contracts. I do not do it on month to month. It will not work. You're giving away too much with this offer that is made is only for minimum 12-month commitments and or annual prepaids. If
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
selling a month to month, I mean, you can go for it. You're going to be filled up for 3 months when you don't want to be that full, when you want to sell people that want to be there, but they'll just come in for the winter time and bugger off in April or May.
On that point, Doug, what's your thoughts on big offers in January? Because you see it all the time, big no joining fees, first month free, all that sort of stuff in January. And there's an argument to go, you don't need to, simply because
And I
that's the
agree, I
busiest time of
agree
the year.
with
So
that.
why do we give money away?
If January, now I have gone in the past, Brian, as I think every marketer has done, because we want to capitalize on that. And also we want to look like heroes to our clients. So you're going to put some campaign together, for the month of January, and you give it away, and yeah, they come in, and you have a good month. But then there's a very strong argument, which I agree with, as I've matured, that if that's your busiest month of the year, why are you giving it away? So historically, when I'm using the 12 days, I'm at full price. I
I'm a
do
big
not
believer
have
in it.
any other campaign going on than the 12 days. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier that I came up with this around the 2nd of December. Um, I After that first year, I have always launched it on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Why is it called Black Friday? And it's because of the newsprint that you would get on your hands on Friday. Very simply, in America, the last Thursday of the month is Thanksgiving.
Right.
The day after is when all of the stores and shops in America would advertise in daily newspapers that were black
Okay.
ink on white or
Oh, there
yellowed
you go.
paper. And they were always the absolute thickest with all the inserts, the brochures, the ads. And, they used to weigh a ton, but you would be going through the paper, and by the time you were done, you would have black hands.
I never knew that.
That is why they call it Black Friday.
To be fair, I never really went into it in that depth, but now we know. If it's an American thing, I never really looked at it.
Yeah.
But
So
you're right. If you're going to launch an offer on a day that everyone's expecting an offer.
and why not this year offer 12 days of fitness to the public for 2025 and sell it? And then on the Monday, on Cyber Monday, that's when you send out the email to your members, giving them a gift of two each of these passes, whether it's restricted to off peak or to peak. Who gives a toss? It's up to you. Um, you know, Obviously, what you can easily say if they object to the off peak, I will state outright that if you do put it on the off peak, it does limit the number of prospects.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if they say, well, I can't use it until after work, this thing's got no value to me. So I have done it only in clubs that were like almost maxed out, were ready to start selling sold out to the public. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, what pub owners want is they want massive quantities of people paying them monthly dues forever.
Absolutely.
The more the merrier. And sometimes I was speaking to an old client friend of mine a couple of days ago, Dave Courtine, who bought
I
an
like
old
Dave.
clients club called River Hills in Ipswich a couple of years back. And unfortunately, they had a massive fire and they had to close the club and then COVID. And it was kind of a horrible couple of years. And so I had actually owed Dave a day's work from an old project. And I kept threatening that, I kept reminding him, I owe you, I owe you, I owe you. I don't like owing anybody. So finally, in December, he invited me over. So we had lunch and nice chat. And we just discussed, he's getting ready to relaunch the club. fully open, I think, in April. And we were just discussing Christmas and New Year's and just discussing marketing. So we had a wonderful 2 hour lunch in the restaurant. I said, okay, so when do I get to work? He goes, Doug, he goes, after this lunch, I've got more work and I know what to do with. So thank you. So I talked to him last week, 2 weeks ago. Um, they're ready to close the club with membership. They've just achieved 3,000 and they're at their last
Wow.
stages. And they've sold over 1,000 memberships in 4 months. And not with any, so he's no longer discounting, he's got no need. And people always want to be a member where they can't join.
Oh, 100%. If you're ever lucky enough to get to the point where you're full, and you golf clubs used to do this all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's one in, one out. And what it used
Absolutely.
to do, it used to create such a. I remember when I was a kid, 14, wanted to join Lutterworth Golf Club, and the junior ranks were full. You had to get three committee members to invite you if a
Yeah.
space did come up, and it almost created this desire that everyone wanted to be a part of Lutterworth Golf Club, and it was.
Yep.
It was bizarre. I mean, it was a nice club. Don't get me wrong, but you just like makes you wonder whether they were full or it was just an amazing marketing campaign that almost fed itself because everyone was like, "I want to be part of it. I'm on the list." And then they've just got this huge list that every now and again they go, right,
The,
we'll
the,
sign them
the
up, we'll sign them up.
question one has got to ask yourself, Ryan, and in one hand, a club is actually never going to be completely full if they offer daytime memberships.
Yeah.
Because you can close off your peak hours easily enough. And I've done this, and the majority of my clients, I will have daytime memberships. And
But it's something to introduce once you're at that capacity where you go, we don't need any more full time. Let's introduce that. You don't have to have
well,
a
I
daytime
normally will
membership
have,
full start.
I would rather capture the person that doesn't have the economic wherewithal, seniors, younger generation, kids getting in, to get out of school that can join the club, at a reduced price. I do think that there is a good market for it.
Hotels
But
do really well with it because they generally have an
there's
older
that,
population and stuff like that. So when I worked for Marriott, we
yeah,
were
yeah,
busy all day because
yeah.
we had the over 55s and we had a specific over 55 rate. I don't know why it was over 55. That was in there before I got there, but it was an over 55 rate, and we were full all day long. The classes during the day were as busy as the ones that at night, simply because of the demographic we had. It was like, well, absolutely, let them have let them
Well, I
have that
mean,
because it drives
funny
into
you
customers.
mention that because the first club in the UK that I sold out was a Marriott property,
Which one was that?
up near Leeds.
Oh, Holland's Hall.
Uh, yes, and you know, we had an amazing run up there. An old friend who'd been with Marriott for years had brought me in. He'd worked with another club, and he brought me in there.
Did you work with
And
James Wild on that one? He would have probably been the club manager at Holland's.
who's that?
James Wild.
James was the manager there. He was under Dave. What's Dave's last name? I haven't seen him, and now he's managing a big hospital now. He's left hospitality and gone into sickness. But James was there, yes.
Yeah.
Um, he was a young whippersnapper. He was, just it was after Dave left that James moved up to manager and then moved up to regional. I believe he's with Matrix, or he was with Matrix
Yeah, he's doing a bit with
recently.
Matrix at the minute, isn't he? He's
What's
Marriott.
kind of
Yeah,
kind of
Marriott
part
changed quite
time.
considerably.
Good, he's working with, I think, their hotel side of things. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we were the whole big build up was the gym, and James was involved, and I just said, look, we can't cope anymore. In prime time, it's just too busy. We got hotel guests coming in, and they can't get in because it's okay, so we'll just sell it out. And the salespeople, one in particular, a little Indian girl, I can't remember her name, um, and she was like, well, what are we going to do? If we can't sell memberships, how are we going to make a living? I said, well, look, there's always going to be people leaving. You're always going to have 30 to 40 a month that are going to be leaving. So you're going to be able to sell. But now we're going to be able to charge, I think it was at that time, something like a $300 enrollment fee. It was substantial, might not have been 300, whatever. Let's even say it's £100. I said, you're still going to be able to charge the joining fee. So, we get to the thing, we announce the closeout, we announce the day, after doing a countdown, 10, 9, 1 left, boom. And I will admit that we did possibly over exceed the countdown number. They did it. I had nothing to do with it whatsoever. But anyway, so I happened to be there the day that they achieved it. So of course, a little celebration at the local Indian was in order. And so we're sitting there and like, oh, what do we sell tomorrow? So we sell memberships. Well, how much? Oh, it's £100 to join. Then it's £50, £50 a month. But unfortunately, we're sold out. If you would like to go onto the wait list, you need to give us um, the enrollment fee, which you get a money back guarantee forever to within 10 days after we actually go. So to reserve your membership, you need to give me a deposit of £100. She goes, I can't sell that. I said, you call yourself a sales maker? No, no, you're back being an order taker now. Of course, we got at it a little bit. Alcohol had nothing to do with it. And so I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what. That the first one that one of you guys sell, you keep the enrollment fee as a bonus. The next morning, I come in, she waved the contract under my nose. I said, so you can sell it.
Just need the
And
right
once
incentive.
it was proven that, oh, you can actually sell it, it's funny how money will motivate people.
I always ask salespeople when I'm interviewing what motivates you, and when someone's got the balls to say it's money, it's usually a good sign when you're bringing them in for sales. Because if they're
Oh,
driven by
you,
money,
you have to
in
have
sales, it's quite a powerful thing.
but the really good salesperson, there's a couple of things that motivate them. Number one, they have to be winners. They want to win. And every
Yeah,
time we make a sale, we win. And it's a lot of most salespeople are very insecure. Just like actors, we're very insecure, and this is our way of proving self-worth
yeah,
that we're winners down, and I know that was it. I mean, I was never, I mean, I won't say I wasn't competitive. I love to win, but I'm not athletic. I'm not fast, so when it came to sports, forget it. But my brain is pretty fast and I'm able to come up with answers pretty quickly. And again, when I was a child, even up until a teenager, severe acne destroyed my self-confidence with the opposite sex and everything. I became very shy, almost introverted.
oh wow.
Yeah. And then when I was 14, I had to get an operation, and it was not emergency, it was exploratory surgery. And they cut my gut open and they took out about a foot and a half of my intestines,
Bloody
as
hell.
well as what's called the ileocecal valve, the valve between your large and small intestines and appendix while they were in there. And it was because I had thousands of little ulcers, like the ulcer you get in your mouth, were in my intestines,
Oh
which was
wow.
causing this gut pain. And I was like, well, what caused that? And he said, stress and keeping things in. And I made a mental decision. I am not going to, so I immediately went on a diet. You know, the face cleared up a little bit. as a good teenager, after the first time you get lucky, your confidence explodes. Oh, I can finally get somebody to say
Yeah,
yes.
women do like me.
So although I did have a dry spell for about 3 years, but that's another story. Um, but at the end of the day, I just decided I came out of my shell. I had
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Or if I didn't, I did not want to go back. I had 120 needles in 10 days, which is
Bloody
partly
hell.
why I could never be a drug addict. I have a distinct aversion to needles.
I
And
must
when I,
admit, because I've got chronic fatigue and the amount of blood they take and injections and stuff like that, I'm almost oblivious to it now. It's like when I go in, they go, "Which arm?" And I really don't care. Just, just whack it
I
in.
don't care
It
either,
is
but
what
I
it is.
just don't like getting pricked. You
Well,
know,
that might be
exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah,
a
yeah.
different
Don't go there. Don't
conversation.
go there.
Um,
Uh,
well, I tell you what. The main reason to get you on as well today was to talk about. Obviously, we've talked about the 12 days, but I think you're offering this out. You've done all of the design work and everything, and I think it's
let
really
me
important
stop you
that
right there. Let me put one plug in here for me or for this. The number 12 days of dot fitness. That is the website. That is the domain name I've registered. I have just started. It is a blog. I'm putting a complete description of exactly what we've talked about with the imagery that you saw the other day that you recognized. And I plan on for the next 12 days. Technically, it doesn't launch until the 1st of November, so you're getting a sneak preview, so to speak. But we had planned this. So I figured it's time to be starting to. We'll call this a pre-sale. But all of the data is there. I've also hooked up with most of the trade associations globally and given it to them. I'll be meeting on Tuesday with Mr. Stalker and Co. And we'll see what happens. UK Active have not signed on yet.
I'm sure they will, though, Doug. I mean, the conversations we've been having in the background with Dave and UK Active and stuff. I think they're a lot more open now to
They
do
need
things
it.
and support things like
They they
they absolutely do. I mean, the National Fitness Day is it is what it is, but I
one
think they need a
day.
sustained campaign like the 12 days of fitness.
Well, the thing that gets me a little bit there, Ryan, and the UK is the only country in the world that calls it National Fitness Day. Every single one of the Europe Active and the other clubs globally call it the Active Day. And I cannot understand why. And I can only think that it goes back to the political stance that the UK Active has or has had with the government to make it a national thing instead of just calling it UK Be Active.
Yeah,
I mean, and we've had this conversation. One day is not enough.
it's
12
not enough,
days,
and
I
that's
give
why
somebody a
I think
12-day
you
pass,
stepping
they're
up.
only going to use it three times.
I think the problem is as well, Doug. One day doesn't give a club a reason to put marketing behind it. It doesn't give them a reason to spend money on Facebook ads and Instagram and whatever else. And you're just not going to do it because it by the time you've done it, the day's gone.
It
You
costs
need
more
a
than what you're
sustained
going to get out
campaign,
of
and
it.
that's what I love about this 12 days of fitness that you're effectively giving away to the world. Um, to
Oh, you
help
were
drive
starting
it
about that. I
and to
interrupted.
prove a campaign works.
I interrupted you there, Ryan. I did it again. So I'll just shut up and ask a question or make your comment there, please,
Oh
my
no, no,
friend.
no, no, it's fine. But I just think it's a national campaign that is needed in our industry, and it should be a month-long campaign. And it's great that you're stepping up and going. You know what? I'm giving this to the industry for free. This is what we're doing. We've designed it. We've got it ready. Here it is. Run with it.
Look, I do not wish to compete with those other marketing companies out there and steal anybody's thunder. But at the end of the day, I've got more campaigns and promotions under my belt than I can shake a stick at. Now, the old commit to get fit that Ursa created back in the 80s It was actually Augie Nieto and Life Fitness. That's a whole nother kind of conversation. But, in the United States, it was the month of May. And it was because that was called the President's Council on Physical Fitness Month.
Oh, okay,
They
that
used
makes
to
sense.
have Jane Fonda and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the little guy that used to do the aerobics, curly hair,
Oh
and
yeah, 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 in his
looked like
outrageous
Leo
outfits.
Sayer, kind of looked like Leo Sayer in his youth. But anyway, they'd have one of them do something on the White House lawn, and all the national coverage, and Ursa would promote it aggressively. And it was all a trick that Augie did to sell life cycles. But anyway, he only did it for 2 years. Then it went to Nuprin, a headache remedy, as the national sponsor, which, yeah, you're going to get good clients that have got headaches for a health club. I don't think that one worked. And Gatorade did it, then it quietly died out. And the UK used to do it in July, which I always questioned why July. I know
I
it's a
think it's because the
slow
kids are off
month.
school, so you could drive the families into the clubs. Potentially, it was something to do with that.
Well, driving families into the club, there's another campaign I've got for that one for the summer, but that's another story. Um, but I do want to bring back, and I have not decided yet. And I have had a conversation with the HFA, formerly URSA, about bringing it back. And, they are not, I'd say, too keen on it. At least the reaction I got was
That's
kind
that's
of
that's bizarre.
lukewarm. But as we've been discussing as well, the industry needs, and somebody needs to step up. And if the associations are not providing it when they're asking you for all this money, then the question goes to be, why do people pay it? So I just decided, the same reason I came up with doing the virtual roadshow, who's helping educate the club staff? Nobody was doing it. I said, sod it. I've got the contacts. I'll do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I put together the virtual roadshow with my speakers bureau. Same thing with these, things. I am probably going to try to bring back Commit to Get Fit in May. And you'll understand why when I come back in April and maybe talk about that one. Because that is a good kickstart to the summer
Yeah, yeah.
when you can be still promoting your family orientated stuff. And I'll be combining that with another campaign that's worked very successfully globally. So, and I've got yet another one for when it's election time. So I've got two or three
Sooner rather
campaigns.
than later on that one, Doug.
Pardon?
I said election time. Sooner rather than later on that one. 'Cause we could do
Um,
with that next year. Get rid of these lot.
well, I might have something that I'm not ready to put on your platform here, but maybe if and when we hook up in the future, I'll tell you, I actually have got something under the radar that I'm being keeping very close to the chest until I've got something to talk about.
I know
But
you've been
since
working on some great stuff behind the scenes. Obviously, we talk regularly, Doug. So I'm
exactly,
I'm
so
excited to see where those different
the
ideas go.
luncheon is planned for next month, so we'll see what develops in that luncheon.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's brilliant, and it's a flip on what's been pushed for in the past, which is quite a clever
exactly,
idea. But obviously, we'll have to
exactly.
save that one for 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 for,
We'll
for
wait
another time.
until election time. And the other minor, I'll throw a plug in. The URSA European Congress is coming to London
I'm
next
so
year.
excited about this.
Well, David Minton and I are the co-hosts of that event. We're both on the European Council with the HFA, and we're planning on we're trying to make it happen late September at the Olympic Park near Stratford.
Well, I'm
Um,
100% behind that because I just quite often they're obviously they're around Europe, aren't they? And it's not really come to the UK, and I think it's one you planning it and you organising it will make sure it's good. But I think it's nice for people to see something other than UK active. You know what I mean? It's nice to see the other side of it, and a lot of, especially the independents and the private clubs, won't
You've
really
got
get
you,
out to the HFA
you,
in
you've
Cologne
got
or wherever
you've
else it
got
is.
Performex in February, you've got Elevate in June, and yes, you've got a wide selection of presenters. The HFA European Congress is a different kettle of fish. It's more designed for the C-suites and for the decision makers. And so you won't get the content of how you teach a group exercise class or how you measure, maximum oxygen uptake for your personal training clients. It's going to be how to make it. So it's a different level. It can be a bit pricey, but I've got a couple things up my sleeve there too that could potentially make it an event that you do not wish to miss if you want to learn from the peers and to create. And I'm hoping again, I'll be discussing this with Dave Stalker on Tuesday. I'd love for UK Active to actually cooperate. And
That'd be pretty awesome.
it's time for this industry in which we've discussed to be united in what matters, which is making more members more active more often, to coin a phrase, but it's got to be globally. And the inequity that exists between the public and the private sector, and I know this from American experience, it will not go away. But if the private sector takes the bull by the horns and comes up with a proper network, it's amazing what one or two people can do, but it's more amazing when you got 200 or 2,000 people all sharing the same vision.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you well know you're part of the group that we're trying to put together to drive that forward, one in cooperation, but also with a singular voice for the private sector, and then work with the public sector. And so hopefully plans are moving in that direction, and hopefully we'll start seeing a lot more cooperation in
I
that
would
regard.
love to see some global unification across the group. And my whole mission and the mission statement with the Virtual Roadshow, as you know, is we want to help improve the fiscal fitness of your fitness business. That
Absolutely.
applies to the suppliers, that applies to the clubs, and that applies to the members. Because when the members have a better experience, they tell their friends the old sales axiom, a satisfied customer or a dissatisfied customer keeps 10 away. A satisfied customer will tell three friends.
Well, it's
Um,
always I still obviously a lot of my career was with Marriott, and Marriott was always look after the customer, and the customer look after your business, and that's why their customer service element is so strong, because they know by looking after the customers, giving them what they want in terms of great service, great experience, the customer will keep coming back, and that will make your
well,
business, rather than looking at it from the other side where you're looking bottom line revenue, everything else. You're looking at the customer first, and if you keep that, you'll be full, you'll be busy, you'll be making money, and the business side will look after itself.
and that was their heritage, and not from Bill Marriott, but from Whitbread's Hotel Company. It was the Whitbreads that actually purchased the license for Marriott in 1997, based on a little bit of my input when we sold. Because I worked with the old hotel company and sold 6,500 memberships in 4 months
They
across
were
the
a great
group.
company, Whitbread were.
Oh,
I started
fantastic.
with Whitbread, and
They
I
were
really enjoyed.
they appreciated the employees. You had good benefits. And then, in 1 month in August, Whitbreads went from a non-player, and I think it was the 5th and then the 10th was the 12th. On the 5th, they bought David Lloyd for 201 million, and on the 12th, they bought Marriott for 200 million. So they spent 400 million pounds, and they went from not being on the list to the number one operator in the UK.
What was it?
Uh,
What was brilliant though, because they owned all the TGI Fridays, the Brewsters there,
they had
and
7,000 outlets.
oh, the business was
They had
brilliant. You could go anywhere
KFC, Pizza
to
Hut.
get all the discounts. I loved working for
Yeah,
them.
I remember that little booklet. It was produced in Hertfordshire. They had a wine shop. They had Threshers. They
Yeah,
still
yeah.
did Costa Coffee. They've
And
sold
then you got
off.
all your free stays because you work for the Marriott, so you got so many free stays a year.
Yep.
Um,
And
Even
traveling,
down
you
to
always
their
got a reduced rates.
oh, it was good. I remember sending my mum to America. She toured America, and because it was Whitbread and Marriott, they got friends and family or
Yeah,
staff
the
rates, I
friends
think
and
it was,
family.
and she stayed in a Marriott for $9 a night. No breakfast. That wasn't included, but it was still $9 a night. It's just mental. Um,
Now, again, they looked after their people, and you're absolutely correct. You take care of your people are going to take care of you. End of
Absolutely.
statement. And the same thing applies to your customers and to your members. And I'm sure you had to read the old Bill Marriott book, To Serve,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which was a Bible back in the 80s in America.
Was
I've
it?
read it. I used to give copies of it to salespeople. You're not selling, you're serving. You're helping people make the right decision. And just as we gave each of the salespeople the right to, if something was wrong, fix it on the spot. Don't come asking me. Tell me what you did. And
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
wrong, I'll tell you and don't do it again. If it's right, I'll give you a pat on the back. The old 1 Minute Manager, another great book I used to give salespeople in the beginning,
I
that you
used to like
didn't
the
do
fish
much about.
books. They're
Yeah.
very easy to read, and they've got such a powerful message. The
Oh,
that fish book.
it's consolidated. I mean, you look at what AI is doing, you're going to be able to take War and Peace and knock it down to 7 paragraphs by the time you got the summary.
Probably a good thing. I couldn't be bothered to read all the way
Well,
through
I
it. Really.
had to. It was actually a prerequisite. I forget if it was uni or high school, but I had to read that bloody boring ass thing. But
No, thankfully, I was never a reader, so I didn't really.
we used to have these summary things, yellow and black books that look like a stop sign in America, and I forget what they used to call them, but quite a few of my book reports were written off of those little, $1 summary books. 'Cause I just couldn't be bothered to read them all, but somehow I did make it through War and Peace.
Oh,
Thus,
bless
they
you.
have, he's got a lot to answer for.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of wasted time with people. But anyways, very good
Well,
off.
I think that's probably a good place to end it, Doug. Always brilliant to have you on. Obviously, we could sit and talk sales all day together. Um, if people want to get on board with this 12 days, and I would urge everybody to. The campaign works. As a Black Raccoon Consulting, we run it with every client pretty much because it drives sales, it drives leads, and it also improves your January. So not only do you get a boost in December, it boosts January massively because you walk into January with a massive set of leads. I've seen clubs with 600 12 days of Christmas, and they're literally just going, we don't need to do any marketing in January because it's all here.
And that's
Um,
what I'm saying. There's no need to discount in January this year. If you do the 12 days, actually, you've got Boxing Day sorted, you've got December sorted, you've got January sorted with one stupid campaign that this old idiot came up with 40, 50 years ago? No, 40
wow.
years ago. And who knew? I certainly didn't. Okay, two quick
So they
reminders.
just jump on your website. Do they just jump on the website, register, and they'll get all
Well,
the
they
stuff
don't
they
even
need?
need to register. This is, I'm in the process discussing with an unnamed entity to have a club locator. Um,
Perfect.
and, very simply, that is coming. Again, technically, this doesn't launch until the 1st of November, which I know is only a couple of days away, or actually tomorrow. So I'm hoping to make the call later today to confirm with this individual. They didn't get back from Dubai until Wednesday, so I've been unable to get hold of them yesterday because I was ill from that bloody flu shot. So I'm going to call them as soon as I'm done here. and see if I can just get that sorted and arranged. But everything that is going on, go to the 12 days of dot fitness, register and follow that. And that gives me the ability to contact you with any updates. And I plan on putting something up every day with a new tip, with something new. Right now, I put in an overview on the first day. The second day was the article that was from my book, which is entitled X Selling at Membership Sales, which is going to be released as an ebook in January.
Awesome. Look forward to that.
Followed shortly thereafter by my podcast called The Podfather of Sales,
Like it.
um, where that podcast is going to be not me interviewing or doing everything that everybody else is doing. It's going to be me telling 20-minute stories weekly, supported the book. And the book will be also free updates for life because I plan on having quarterly updates to because the industry is changing. I'm right now taking a
Absolutely.
3 month course on AI to learn more about it. Not to, and I promise that nothing in my book is ever going to be written with AI. It's going to be written with AI Doug's way, actual intelligence. Anyway,
I'm dyslexic a little bit, so I like to use AI just to make sure I'm not talking shit. I think is probably the
um,
best
well,
way
it,
to put
it,
it.
it
The
doesn't
grammar's
work because
right.
it still comes through, Ryan. Anyway, okay, my friend. Listen,
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you on. Like I say, if people don't get on this, I think the big thing as well, and we come back to this, the industry doesn't have national campaigns that we all get behind. This is the first opportunity in decades to get behind something that we know works and everybody can get behind it, and it's not going to cost them anything other than what they want to
I
put
would
towards their own
love for
marketing.
all of the different marketing companies, management companies, trade associations, suppliers. If you're a supplier, if you've got a client list of 1,500 clubs installation, send them a quick tip and say, hey, why don't you consider doing this campaign? I've heard it's really good. Maybe you can make enough money so you can buy my product.
But you know the
Um,
funny thing is, and this is what people fail to realise, and so we'll we will end it in a minute, Doug. This is our problem. We just keep going. Um,
yeah,
But what happens is, if you do a national campaign like this, you do your marketing, the other club does it, and suddenly you've got this massive. Now, your marketing may get someone to join someone else's club, and their marketing may get them to join your club. But what you're doing is you're creating so much noise that people can't miss it, and that's why it's really important that everybody gets behind the same campaign, stops competing against each other, and works together, even if that's the
we
fact that you're just
need
doing the same campaign, you're working together, and that drives more volume because the awareness is so much bigger. So we get 1,000 clubs on this. Can you imagine the amount of social media activity and everything else that's
Well,
going around those
I've
1,000 clubs?
also, like I said, Ryan, I've already got a dozen international. I've got Finland, I've got Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, Australia. I mean, Canada. I mean, I've got so many
You'll get
national
UK active,
associations.
obviously. I can't see Dave
Well, they're
not
going to
getting on.
need to jump on it pretty goddamn quick because Boxing Day is here. Now they don't need to, nobody needs to say boo about it, and please don't say boo about it. Use November to build up your arsenal. Make sure you've got referral gifts that reflect the season. I always used to use Merry Fitness t-shirts and sweatshirts. I've asked James Taylor with Tailor Made to come up with an art design and to be able to provide something, but get your referral gifts in line and get everything prepped up for a massive blitz beginning midnight on Boxing Day. Or actually, I don't have a problem doing it on Thanksgiving, which you guys don't celebrate anyway. But regardless, the point is we've got a limited window of opportunity here, but this country has got to do what you say in your flippin' name. Unite. The United Kingdom. Well, let's forget about the kingdom for now, although, Charles, I didn't mean to offend you. You're cordially invited to come to the HFA event
Just don't
in
bring your brother.
November. William, if you're listening, come on down too. No problem. And Tara, I especially want you, being a former Olympian at Olympic Park, you've got to come. Anyway, the point is, a strange thing happens when you unite, and I would love to see a global initiative long after I'm gone. And the same reason I want to bring back Commit to Get Fit. You clubs, independent, any club in the world, you deserve more. So I'm going to do part of my legacy is maybe the reason I'm still alive. I'm not done yet.
Awesome. And that's where we'll leave it, Doug. I really appreciate your time today, buddy. Obviously, we'll whack all this stuff out. We'll put all the links on the podcast so people can see it. If anybody does want to get in touch with Doug, obviously he's all over LinkedIn. You can't miss it.
Sales Makers is everywhere. You've got it, all the details. The other thing I'm doing, I am Virtual Roadshow. I'm going into the studio on the 21st of November. On the 22nd, I will be putting out this video, which will be the last video before the 29th, before the launch of the Black Friday campaign. That'll be streamed on the Virtual Roadshow online. And anybody that wants to go online and register now, completely free through the end of the year. Check out the content as well. No problem.
And that's just a thing just to say that if you're not
This
on the
is this.
Virtual Roadshow, they need to get on it. There's some amazing speakers that come on and talk on that. So
I just know you just enrolled two new ones, getting better every day.
awesome,
Have a
awesome. One
great
of these
life,
days I'll
great
join you,
day.
Doug.
Okay, my friend.
Nice
Ciao.
one. Have an awesome day and weekend. Cheers, buddy.
I'm going to try. You too. Bye now.
Bye bye. Cheers, Doug. Let me just stop.